Hello and welcome to Moodle training for distance learning staff. In this video, we're going to talk about the way we've organized courses within distance learning. We're going to talk about course categories, the difference between a master course and a section course, and we'll also dive into some course-wide settings. So let's get started. Notice I've logged in here. I'm looking at my home. I can see all the courses that I've enrolled in the middle pane. I'm going to look at the left of the screen at the navigation block. I'm going to click on the courses link. This is going to take me to a list of all of the courses that we offer in distance learning, all of the courses in the system. But notice what I'm seeing here isn't actually a list of courses, but a list of course categories. Now, Moodle loves to keep things organized. Moodle loves hierarchy. So while it's going to be a consistent theme that we have categories of items, even categories of items. But let's look at and see how our course categories are set up. Notice that we have a separate category for each subject area. You can see arts, Chinese, German, Latin, physics, and Spanish. But we have a couple of extra categories as well. At the very top of the list, there's a miscellaneous category. You'll notice that it looks a little different from the others. We'll come back to that in just a second. There's an entrance assessments category, and obviously, inside that category, we're going to keep all of the entrance assessments for Latin 2, Spanish 2, German 2 that we develop for students to take inside of Moodle. At the very bottom of the list, you can see that there's also a category for KET Staff PD. So the courses that we use to play with inside this training we'll find in that category. Now, when I go back to this miscellaneous category at the top, notice it's grayed out. It's a little fuzzier, a little grayer than the others. What that means is that this category is hidden. It's hidden. Now, obviously, we can still see it. Teachers, tutors can see courses and course categories that are hidden, but students, facilitators cannot. Now, that also means that, yes, students, facilitators, actually any visitor to our site can look and see the courses that we offer, a list of them. Now, that doesn't mean that they can actually enter the courses. They can't enroll themselves. They can't look and see any of the content in our courses, but they can see the list of the courses. They can see any visible categories and any visible courses that are in our list. So that's what that grayed out miscellaneous category means. We can see it, but any visitors or students or facilitators cannot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the arrow to the left of this German category, and we're going to see it expand. Okay, and actually when it expands, it does reveal one course called German Sandbox. Notice it's grayed out, so that means that no one else can see it but us. But it also, this German category contains 4 other categories: German Basement, German 1, German 2, and German 3. And this is consistent with the way that the other subjects are organized. There's an overall subject category, German, and then inside of that category are other categories for each individual level of the language. Now, in addition to just expanding the category by clicking the triangle to the left of it, I can also actually click on the link, the name of the category, and it takes me to a page. It tells me that I'm in the German category. Notice my breadcrumbs have changed to reflect that inside of courses I'm in the German category, and it lists those same 4 categories. Now, it's not until I actually enter, let's say, German 2, that I actually start to see some of the courses inside of our German 2 category. So I can see we've got about 10 or so different German 2 courses. And again, my breadcrumbs have changed. I'm inside of German 2, inside of German, inside of courses. So if I need to go back and look at those German categories again, I can do that in a couple different ways. I can click on the German link in the breadcrumbs. It'll take me back to where I was. Or I can use this drop box at the top of the page. And actually, this is a very convenient way to navigate among the different course categories because it lists them all in one list. So notice that right now I'm in the German category. I can skip over to the German 1 category, or I can move all the way to the Spanish 2 category. If I click that, it'll zip me right over to the Spanish 2 category. Notice my breadcrumbs have updated to reflect that my new position inside the system. And I can see all the different courses inside of Spanish 2. Now, while we're looking at these courses in Spanish 2, let's take a minute to talk about the difference between a master course and a section course, because you'll notice the very bottom course in this list is called Master Spanish 2. What does that master mean? Well, the way we produce courses inside distance learning is that each year we create a master course for that year. So what we're seeing is the master course for 2014-2015, and Pauline has created that for us, containing all of the content that she wants in that course, all the lessons, all the resources and activities. And as we go along, we'll talk ourselves about how to create all of these things inside of a course. But the point is, any edits that she wanted to make to her Spanish 2 course, Pauline made in this Master Spanish 2. Now, when the school year began and we had schools register, what we did was we basically duplicated this course. We copied it and we pasted it inside this category, and then we renamed it according to the school who is going to enroll in that course. Each school that registers for a course will receive its own section course. Okay, these are called section courses. Now, this is important, an important distinction to understand if you're developing courses. If you make a change, if Pauline were to notice an error, a typo maybe, heaven forbid, in one of her lessons, she could edit this Master Spanish 2 course, but that change would not propagate to the other section courses. In the middle of the year, if she noticed this change, noticed this error, she would have to go into each individual section course and make that change. So if you have 10, 15, even 20 section courses, you don't want to have to do that, obviously. So best practice is to edit the master course, get it as perfect as possible. Now, errors will crop up, and that's okay. But get it as close as possible before the beginning of the year when we duplicate it into these section courses. Now, I said that changes to a course will not propagate to the section courses, but there is actually one exception to that rule, and that is if you need to edit one of the questions in the question bank. We'll talk about the question bank in another video, but likely you have some quizzes in your course and some questions in the question bank. The way we have organized the question bank, if you need to edit a question, it will propagate to all of the courses in the Spanish 2 course category. So this is good news. If you see a typo in a question, even though you're just looking maybe at the master course, if you edit that question, that change will be reflected in the other courses as well. So again, just to review the process for producing courses that we've developed in distance learning. First of all, before the beginning of a school year, you create your edits, you create your course in the master course, okay? And at the beginning of the year, we will, once that master course is as perfect as possible, we will duplicate that course into the various section courses, one for each school that registers. Now, after that point, what if Pauline is ready to make new changes for next year? Well, what we'll do is we'll duplicate the master course one more time, and we'll name it master course again, but for next year. All right, so that is a brief overview of the way our courses are organized in distance learning. We talked about course categories, how to navigate between the course categories. We've also talked about master courses and section courses. Let's actually jump into a course now. I'm going to click on this Spanish 2 master course. Now, this is the course page. Notice my breadcrumbs have updated to say that I'm inside the Master Spanish 2 course, which is inside Spanish 2, inside Spanish, inside courses. Over the next several videos, we'll talk about all the different components of this of the course page, about sections and lessons and all the resources and activities that you can add to your course. But the only thing I want to look at right now are the course-wide settings. Okay, the settings that apply to the entire course. And you access these from the administration block on the left under Course Administration. If you click on Edit Settings, we'll see all the settings for this whole course. Okay, this includes the course name. There's a full name for it, which tends to be a little longer, and then a short name. Okay, in this case, they're the same, but they don't have to be. The course short name is the name that appears in the breadcrumbs. That's why it's a little shorter, because the breadcrumbs, they like to be short and succinct. Okay, the course category, we can select a different category if we need to move this course to a different category. Visible setting, this course is visible. It's set to show. That means that students and visitors can see this course listed in the list of courses. In other words, it's not grayed out like we saw when we were looking at the list of courses. The course start date isn't relevant to us in distance learning. We use a different tool, the milestone block, to set the beginning and the end date for this course. Okay, so you probably won't need to ever change that setting in the course settings. Course ID number is another one that we don't make use of in distance learning. Now the description, if we scroll down a little bit, the course summary. This is a place where you can type in a course summary, a little paragraph that describes what your course is about. This paragraph will be displayed next to the name of your course in the lists of courses that students and visitors can see. Okay. You can even upload an image or PDF that summarizes your course, maybe a little logo for your course or a PDF that summarizes your course by uploading those files to course summary files. Notice there are a couple of other groups of settings here. Let me expand the course format setting group. The format. Now, almost all of the courses in distance learning make use of the topics format. You probably won't need to change that. But just to briefly talk about the other formats. Single activity format. This is if you want the entire course to consist of one activity. For example, our entrance assessment courses. The Latin 2 entrance assessment course, all it is a quiz. One quiz. The Latin 2 entrance assessment. So we've selected that format for that kind of course. Social format is one that is centered around the forum. It's not as highly structured as the topics format that we make use of. And the weekly format is very similar to the topics format, but every topic is titled with the dates of that week. So each section represents 1 week, and it's named with the dates of that week. Since our courses aren't necessarily strapped to any particular time frame, They're asynchronous, so schools can start and end at any date. We don't make use of that one. We just make use of the topics format. Number of sections is the number of topics inside this course. Pauline has 23 in Spanish too, but you can have up to 160 topics. Hidden sections and course layout. You'll probably want hidden sections to be shown in collapsed form rather than completely invisible, so that students know that that those sections are there and that there is work to be done there even if they can't access it yet. We'll talk more about hiding sections in a later video. Course layout. You'll probably want to show one section per page. What this means is that the student can click on the title of a section and view that section all on one page. This is particularly useful in some of our courses with a large number of sections, such as the German courses and the Latin courses. Physics as well have a large number of sections. So if they load the entire course page, it's very long. There's a lot to scroll through because all of the content is visible from that page. This way they can click on one section and focus in on just that section's content. The appearance settings, probably nothing we need to change here. We definitely want to show gradebook to students and show activity reports. The other settings we don't need to change. Files and uploads, again, nothing we need to mess with here. This is the maximum upload size. So for any user of this course, whether it's you, the teacher or the tutor, or a student or facilitator, if they try to upload something and that file is bigger than, in this case, 100 megabytes, it won't let them do that. So we can leave that alone. Now, completion tracking is very important. It's very important that this is set to yes. So if you ever happen to be looking at the course settings and you notice it's set to no, you probably need to change that back to yes. What this means is that Moodle will keep track of when a student has completed an activity or not. And it works hand in hand with the milestone block that we have that assigns a due date to every activity. So it's really important that that's set to yes. Groups, if you'd like to enable groups in this course, what that means is that assignments and other activities can be submitted as a group. You can assign different activities to different groups of students. You can select separate groups or visible groups there. We'll talk more about groups and groupings in a later video. Finally, the last category is role renaming. This is not something you'll ever need to change. We can just leave that alone. All right, so that is just a really quick summary of the different settings of the course-wide at the course-wide level. Again, the most important ones are at the very top, these settings right here, the full name and the short name in the category and invisible. Again, the description, you can enter a course summary. The format being a topics format, and here's where you select the number of sections in your course. And then finally, the completion tracking being set to yes.